see that in the background we're sponsored by Target and their reusable bags, which you should certainly reuse.
You definitely should.
Good evening.
Evening.
It is evening here as well. So, or good afternoon or good morning or good night.
Depending on where you are.
Yes, whatever. It is 6:10 p.m. here in Portland, Oregon. It's somewhere o'clock where you live. And so
10 after the hour where you live,
yes.
probably.
Or if you're watching this sometime in the future, what's it like? We have to know. Tell us it gets better. Anyways, welcome to Divine Disbelief. That joke will never, ever get old at the beginning of our, I will always say it's something, a time of clock wherever you live. But Divine Disbelief,
Love it.
episode
44.
44.
It is 44. We have had 43 other episodes.
No, it's episode Barack Obama.
Oh.
And then we're going to do the next one, which is episode 46.
No, we're
not doing episode 45.
We're not doing 45.
We're going to pretend as though this section of history does not exist.
Exactly.
It's kind of like the American genocide of over 108 million natives. We just pretend like that never happened.
Exactly.
Or the, internment of Japanese Americans.
Yeah.
And from 1940 to 1945. And enforcing them to be in our military, or that, or the Reconstruction thing. And it says the oh God of hangovers and Santi the Saint are both here.
Hey,
hi, folks, and hi, y'all. But I'm Nathaniel.
And I'm Susan. How's it going?
Is hopefully good. Hopefully better than 2020. Let's just say that we hope that your day is better than the year has been. And if you're in Louisville, or if you care about social justice and equality and equity for the races, you're probably pissed off. And I feel you. I feel you a lot. We are a religious channel by nature, but sometimes some things are just more important.
It's true.
And so
Very true.
I have spent the entire day today, first off, explaining ranked choice voting to somebody, which is a good time, and I really should do a deep dive into that.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
And as well as trying to figure out exactly how the best way to respond to recent events is, first with, obviously, the passing of one RBG. That sucks.
Yeah. We talked a lot about that with Hema Mehta on Explain Like I'm 5.
Go back and watch that video.
It's good.
But also today with basically the acquittal, more than anything else, the acquittal of officers with the murder of Breonna Taylor.
Reckless endangerment against the white neighbors.
Yeah, against people, other people in the apartment where she lived.
Yeah.
Never mind the fact that they killed her as she slept.
Yeah.
Anyways, so hopefully your day is better than that.
Hopefully.
And Santi, yeah.
Yeah, that's totally understandable. Here we go. Yeah, I'm not angry. I'm terrified as a brown person. That's an understandable reaction.
Mm-hmm.
I can never understand what it's like to live as any person of any color, BIPOC, anything like that. I can never understand that.
No.
Because, we're all fucking white. But I can tell you that your reactions and your fear, all of that is completely justified. Which I don't need to tell you that. Realistically, I don't.
Yeah.
But
live. We are live. I don't know if you retweeted that or not, but I just did. So today is going to be a fun episode. Hey, I got this in the mail yesterday. I get stuff from the Institute for Creation Research in the mail. This is what I received yesterday. I think it was yesterday, right? Because I think that I was in a bad mood, so I tossed it across the room.
Yeah.
This, by the way, this is Acts and Facts. You can get this for free from the ICR if you're, I don't know, like if you hate yourself. And I've actually never read a single one of these. Mm-hmm. I just get them.
He just has them laying around the house, basically.
Yeah, they are. They're the one with Mount St. Helens is one that I've said that I'm going to read.
Yeah.
Never have. Don't care. But this one though, this one is it has a mosquito on the front of it, and it says, "Why mosquitoes attack? Mystery solved." Let me tell you, this isn't a mystery.
No, it's really not.
We know why.
Yeah.
And if the Christian God exists, this makes sense.
It does.
Only that God would make something that has no value and only spreads disease.
Exactly.
Thank you, Institute for Creation Research, for helping me understand that your God really is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
So
let's start off with some news, shall we?
Yeah, let's. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 beverages that I hope to get through over the course of the next 60 or so minutes. I don't know that I hope to get through them, but I've skimmed, or at least looked at the title of more than a few of these that I planned on getting to today, that I knew yesterday probably wouldn't happen, and that guaranteed today wouldn't. But just reading, I have alcohol for this.
And I have a lot of notes, so.
Yes, she does. I asked her what she was doing last night, writing a dissertation, and she said, notes.
Do my notes for the show sheet. Can't help it. And then you hear the cats outside.
Santi, we do what we can as white people, especially me as a white guy. I understand where I'm at in all of this. Mm-hmm. And trust me, there is a video series upcoming that we have actually been working on, and Susan tried to convince me about. This is going to be something at the end, but whatever. Tried to convince me, in the beginning, so basically Genesis, that this needed to be a video series, and I was like, no, it's not going to be and then it was it's
gonna be
an hour.
Like an hour, and then it turned into hour and a half, and then it was all okay, it's a video series.
Yeah, it's just a quick I was going to take a picture of this and we're going to put it on Twitter the other day. I mean, Susan didn't know what we were going to, and it has this list of topics and stuff that we're going over.
Those are all the
this
things we're going over.
And there's the list is on the back too.
Yeah, we have a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and we're there's no way we can put this all into one video.
No.
John Brown is on there. It's cool. And so there's just look, church racism is on here too. Yeah. And so it's going to be a video series that's going to likely, and I know this from personal experience, actual personal experience, it's going to piss off a bunch of white people, which good, I guess. Yeah. I hope you're upset, and I hope that it challenges you and your worldview, because it certainly has mine and continues to mine. So yeah. Go ahead, love. I apologize for the interruption again.
It's all good. All right. Nathaniel.
Yes, Susan.
Do you know what the Mick Files is?
The what?
The Mick Files.
The Mick Files. No, I cannot say that I do.
Okay. So, in case y'all are curious, the Mick Files is a YouTube show hosted by a gentleman named Chris McDonald, and he hosts people like our favorite firefighter prophet, Mark Taylor. And of course, you know Mark Taylor. He's the one who was responsible for the Trump prophecies back in 2017. Remember that guy? By the way,
that is constantly recommended on YouTube for me.
Oh God, no.
That, and then right next to it is, I see it I don't forget what it is, but I see it all the time.
Oh,
no. And I see it, and I'm just no. Oh, the Dinesh
Dinesh D'Souza.
Yeah, it's his thing. I think it's with not Clinton Cash, but the other one. So yeah, I see this a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck this dude.
Yeah, fuck this guy. I really, really hate him. So Mark Taylor is also the one who sent out a tweet 2 days ago that said, what's going to happen when BHO, which I can only assume is Barack Hussein Obama, is arrested, charged with treason, and his title of president is ripped and stripped from him? Does it null and void everything he's done, including his 2 SCOTUS picks? Well, Mark Taylor, on top of being a big old bag of crazy, he also subscribes to all of the QAnon bullshit. All of it. All right, so maybe that kind of crazy sort of goes hand in hand with his regular crazy, but hey, I just sort of figured it was worth mentioning.
By the way, for those of you that don't know, you can go over to, I believe, God Awful Movies, as well as Hannah
Yes.
and Jake. And I also know with what's his name that does the video reviews, all of them with shitty movies, and all the horror movies too. He's part of Stone Goodwin.
Cinema Snob.
Yeah, go to Cinema Snob. Brad Jones, he does great stuff there too. They all have done the Trump Prophecy, the movie.
Yeah.
The movie.
How
is that a movie? But they've had to sideline so many actual good Transformers movies. Anyways, but yeah,
Revenge of the Fallen.
he had a dream. Apparently, he was asleep. If you don't know this, apparently he was asleep while the television was on, and he heard in his subconscious mind Donald Trump, who was actually on the television speaking. So I guess, fuck that person for having Mr. I now have the tallest building in Manhattan, which you didn't anyways, on your television to make this guy have a dream that he was going to be president. So congratulations. I've also had dreams too. I've had dreams that I jumped off the Statue of Liberty and survived.
Wow.
If that would come true, that'd be fabulous. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, please don't.
But
I like having you in one piece.
And so he now has become this, like in the video, you can watch the movie if you want to. Don't. Watch
something else.
Watch the
with
Gam and the Hannah and Jake and the Cinema Snob episodes. They're all very good.
Are very good.
They're much better than anything that the people that made that movie could ever make anything ever in their lives.
Sure.
Like at all. Even like a poop.
Better than anything. So, according to Right Wing Watch, Taylor has been predicting for years that Trump will unleash a wave of arrests and put on trial thousands of high-level cannibalistic satanic pedophiles. And now, Taylor is now saying that the Tangerine Tyrant...
Tangerine Tyrant.
I was very
Is
proud
that
of
on the Right Wing Watch? Though?
No, it's not. I came up with that one.
Oh, nice.
He's saying that the Tangerine Tyrant must make some arrests of high-profile Democrats before the election because the Patriots are fed up. Not entirely sure why he has a monopoly on the word patriot, but anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So Taylor said, quote, he can't go in and start arresting a lot of these people right now because it would look like he was a dictator trying to arrest his opposition during the election.
Yeah.
He said that before he added, but they better do something.
Oh, man.
Taylor then went on to basically say that Trump can't wait too long, of course, because otherwise a civil war would certainly break out. And yeah, well, I kind of have almost zero doubt that right-wing extremists will want that to happen so they can have a reason to take matters into their own hands and kill people with impunity. So Taylor went on, I have warned... Let's see, where did I go? There we go. I've warned that if they wait too late, if we're not careful, if they don't show something, that justice is coming. At least show the Patriots that justice is coming. It will buy some time until the election.
Show the Mel Gibsons. Hey, Maya.
Show the Mel Gibsons.
Well, the Patriots.
Or
this is going to be as accurate
not
historically.
Tom Brady's anymore.
Oh, he's just a pirate now.
I fucking hate him.
Pirate.
I don't know.
Apparently
why.
not doing very well either. I don't know.
I have no reason to hate Tom Brady.
I haven't kept up. I'm a fan of football, and yet something just seems like it's more fucking important than football this year.
Sure.
You hear that Big Ten conference? Sorry.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
It's very true. Mm-hmm. So we already know that this has been threatened for a while, and most of the Divine Disbelief Twitter interactions come from people who either actively want us either jailed or dead, or couldn't give a shit if either of those happened. And why the hell does this have to happen before the election? Did Taylor prophesize that the whole Red Mirage thing, which you go watch our video on that.
Yeah.
Video.
Yeah.
So did he prophesize that that's going to happen with Trump not giving up power whenever he is, hopefully, defeated in November? And why on earth would you threaten this if not to scare people into staying home on election day? Like, honestly. So, and Taylor also said that there are, quote, 14 million veterans that can walk into combat today, which I kind of doubt. And also, I really, really fucking despise
the military.
Well, that too. But I also really, really hate how right-wing extremists always use veterans as pawns.
Yeah.
They always say, we care about our veterans, we have to take care of them, blah, blah, blah. And then they do nothing about it. They do absolutely nothing to actually take care of veterans because they defund the VA. They end up like, they have like one of the highest suicide rates.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 22 veterans per day commit suicide or something like that.
No, it's more than that. It's one every 8 minutes.
Oh, I thought it was.
Or 8 per
I
day.
heard.
Or some. No, I'm reading this wrong. No, it's 8 per day.
Oh, I thought it was like 22 or 23.
Or maybe no, it's like 21% or something like that. But I think it's like 8 per day. I forget the exact number.
Correct.
But it's regardless.
It's a lot. It's still a lot.
Yeah.
And people coming back from combat for places that we should not be, places we have no reason to be, need to actually be taken care of.
Hi, Middle East, and also everywhere else.
Exactly. So
we got a downvote already. Well, sorry. What's his name? Taylor.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Taylor, who we know is definitely going to watch this.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah.
So
what do you? what is your take on this?
Well, this is going to surprise people, but the president of the United States, who I am being told is somehow still Donald Trump, repeated yet again today, and like actually out loud repeated today that he would not commit to a peaceful transfer of power. You know, that thing that presidents do because they're not autocrats or because they're not, traitors, sure, but also because they're not tyrants or because of this F word that I'm, for whatever reason, it seems like it's like going fast, but it's like a fastest. Yeah, that word, right? If you replaced fastest with fascist, it would be one of those words. And they transfer power peacefully, even if, well, no, because they don't win, to the person who in this case didn't win anyways. And we already know that that's something that he's going to do anyways. We already know that he's going to do all these things. And now, and this isn't, by the way, Mark Taylor saying these things is not the first person that we've heard doing this. In fact, this is a regular QAnon thing.
Yes.
Mark Taylor just happens to be famous. Sure. And
in the QAnon circle.
Yeah. And we actually have video and audio of these somehow again famous people saying years ago, even like 2 years ago, like they have to do something now. When is it actually going to happen? Because people are going to take to the streets. Now, I assumed at the time they were talking about people, reaching out and speaking out against like police violence and, systemic racism in our country, or against like the inherent sexism that's built into our country, or low wage necessities to increase low wages or something across the board. But in fact, it turns out that they were speaking that people need to take to the streets against people like us because we're apparently terrorists. See, I was just wrong in my assumption that people, when they said those things, because Mark Taylor says this. This is what conspiracy theorist clowns say. And they're all, well, not all of them, but the overwhelming above 90% majority of them are evangelical Christians, and they're white. I saw one today at the PetSmart parking lot with the WW1 bullshit that I still haven't figured out on the back of their vehicles. And by the way, if you haven't figured out, don't put it in the comments. I don't care what it is. All I know is that it means that you're a fucking cultist.
Yeah.
And this is what they do. And they look for reasons to chase us down, to follow us to work, which has happened to me. And to actually seek out violence like they did in Corbett, Texas, probably. But in Corbett, Oregon, a week and a half ago, when they literally, citizens barricaded the roads looking for people that they could stop and that they could they could basically search and look for their papers. These are the same people. And so it's like, they don't want the president to do this. They just want the president to say it's okay.
Yeah.
Which he does.
He does.
That is really most terrifying.
He actively encourages this shit.
Yeah. What's the worst he can do? Just say it's okay.
Yeah. So Santi asks a good question. What happens if he doesn't stand down? We actually did. And I deeply apologize. I don't remember if you were there in the live chat, Santi. We did a video about the concept of red mirage, which is basically the whole how this is going to happen with Trump not relinquishing power. The TLDR of it is mail-in votes. He says he won because the mail-in votes aren't counted. Then he doesn't give up power once everything's been counted, and then he's
and then
he's gonna sue and whatever.
What should happen at that point that he doesn't in the event that he loses, which everything points to that being the case, is that the military, our contrast is off, isn't it? Is that at that point, then the military would go in and they should forcibly remove him from office. The military and the FBI, and the FBI wouldn't necessarily do it. They would be like the military. But will they? I don't know. It seems as though he's losing the military vote.
Yeah.
But scrapping the electoral college and closing the loophole in the 13th Amendment would have enough of a knockout effect to start setting things right. Well, that's a question for a deep dive that I need to get into in a different video regarding ranked voting systems, which that would effectively eliminate the electoral college. Yes. And it's possible because states like Maine and 4 others, Maine is doing it for the presidential election, and other states are moving. I think we have over 20 states that are moving to winner take all, which is not ranked voting, but to winner take all, meaning that there is the way that it goes is whoever wins the national vote, the popular vote, gets that state's electoral votes. And so you have a bunch of states that are doing that now, and so you have some of those ways to be able to get rid of that. And what's actually kind of great is that going into ranked choice voting, you wouldn't need to get rid of the electoral college, which means that we wouldn't need a constitutional amendment to do it. And that's a big deal. Ranked voting is the most fair process we currently have. And I actually just explained it again to somebody today, and they were like, wow, you're talking about no more lesser of two evils. You're talking about actual third-party representation. You're talking about proper representation, not just in the presidency, but in the Senate, which needs to be reformed anyways, the House of Representatives, and even in local state and city areas and governments and stuff like that. So ranked voting is a good idea. I mean, that's a whole video that I need to do to get into.
Yeah. I did like this comment. About 5 years ago, I used to be a hardline MAGA QAnon type. I can't tell you how much a person like me learns when I just started listening. I've had my eyes opened so much the last few years. That's really good to hear.
That is Chicken McLosing it. It's good to see you, by the way. I haven't seen you in here.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. How much it's
I can't see the comment.
No,
you were hovering over it. No, you're fine. You don't have to put it back up there. You're just hovering over it. So it was whited out. I guess I could have looked at it on my computer. Person like me learns when it's not easy. Leaving a cult is very difficult, especially when the cult tells you these things over and over and over again.
Yeah.
There's so many people that are religious in these types of things, in QAnon and in these types of other cults, that they're primed to accept things like this.
Oh yeah.
You're talking about evangelicals who think that they can speak in different languages when they're filled with the Holy Spirit. That's a cult. And now they get into this thing, and you have people now who literally, probably it started as like a troll thing on 8chan, and now it's gone into this grift thing where they're making literally millions of dollars off of these people who simply usually are above 60, Usually, they need people like to like show the audiobook because they can't read the words that are on paper because they're too old, and they're giving validation to these people's fears on purpose. It's not real and it's not true, but it's the same thing as if we were to tell somebody, hey, this Jehovah's Witness thing, this Mormon thing, this snake handler thing, these speaking in tongues things, they're taking advantage of you.
Oh, yeah.
It's not real. It's the same thing to where, could you convince them of it through logic? No, because they feel as though they're experiencing it, and or it's been through their entire lives.
Yeah.
And so you got people like Mark fucking Taylor who are taking advantage of the people, and like Mike Pompeo, who we're going to talk about in a second, who just take advantage of these things.
Yes.
And people like Donald Trump, who certainly is not a Christian, who literally has said he's never done anything wrong in his life, who all he does is grift. That's his entire fucking life.
Yeah.
And so you have people that are ready to hear this, that are terrified that the nation is becoming more diverse anyways. And this is what we get. And religion is inherently harmful because it primes us, simply because certain people are involved in certain religions that push them to go to some different level, that push them to become something else.
Yeah.
Not every religion is harmful, to point that out. But giving up our logical mindset and giving something over to something that's beyond, that we have no evidence for, is harmful. We can say, hey, we have a freedom of religion, and I am going to do what I can to always protect that, while saying religion is harmful. It's two different things.
Yeah, they're not contradictory statements.
No,
they're not.
And unfortunately, you have certain religions that, like this, push into something like what Mark Taylor is saying.
Yep.
Thankfully, not every pastor is like that. Thankfully, like the pastor in California whose church was fined $112,000, finally figured out, maybe we should go outside.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not okay that 112,000, maybe I should start saying that COVID's a real thing once they start hitting them in the pocketbook.
Yep.
That was a long rant.
I liked it. I love it. So, all right. Moving on.
This is
Mike Pompeo.
This is Prestonwood Baptist. We've been to this church.
Did we?
We've been here.
It's
I
in
was looking at
Plano.
it. Yeah, I was looking at it. At least I've been here.
I don't know if I've been there.
Mhm.
It looks like First Baptist Dallas, but it's not.
It does. Yeah, it's right down the fucking road from
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I've been to this church. Mm-hmm.
Mike Pompeo. As if it's not bad enough that you're Secretary of State.
How?
Now you've gone and done the whole Christian nationalist thing. I mean, not just now. He's done it in the past. But it's happening. And it happened last week.
Mm-hmm.
So, Pompeo spoke at Prestonwood Baptist Church in Plano. Fucking goddamn Plano!
It's like every episode we got something to do with Texas.
I know, right? Because maybe Texas has problems. Pompeo said that Christians need to set an example and model Christian behavior. And I have to ask, does he want classic Jesus or Republican Jesus?
Which one do you think?
Yeah. And according to Christian Post, quote, to be a light unto the world amid pressure from critics who say faith must be kept out of the public square. So when Jack Graham, who's the pastor of Prestonwood Baptist Church, introduced Pompeo, he, of course, ran over his limited credentials and emphasized that the most important of the credentials was that Pompeo is, quote, first and foremost, he's a follower of the Lord Jesus Christ and a believer in our Savior. In a speech that would definitely make friend of the channel Andrew Seidel's head spin, Pompeo said, faith in the public square is not only lawful, but righteous. This faith is not only powerful, but required by the American tradition. And stealing from George Washington and Alexander Hamilton, and yes, we know that Washington was religious, of all the dispositions and habits which lead to political prosperity, religion and morality are indispensable support. Amazing. The cherry picking of founding fathers. And yes, that is from George Washington's farewell address, hence the inclusion of Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah.
You should be proud of me.
Which is, yeah.
I looked it up.
You looked it up. It's a long address. He spoke for a while.
Yeah.
Not as long as Donald Trump did recently, but
yeah. So, of course, Pompeo used some scare tactics with an example of a godless nation, China. And yes, what China has done to Uyghur Muslims. Is that how you say that?
Yeah.
Uyghur.
It's pretty close, yeah.
Yeah, Muslims is morally reprehensible, including forced birth control, forced abortions, and forced sterilizations. That has nothing to do with how godly China may or may not be. These are blatant human rights violations, and I can't think of a single person who lacks a belief in God that would condone these practices. So, get fuck yourself, Pompeo. Also, Pompeo has come under fire for being so goddamn overtly Christian in his political dealings. The New York Times said, no Secretary of State in recent decades has been as open and fervent as Mike Pompeo about discussing Christianity and foreign policy in the same breath. And if you don't see a problem with this, you're probably part of the problem. Obviously, Pompeo doesn't give a shit, because in his talk to the congregation, he said, connecting faith to America's foreign policy is imperative. It's a good thing. How? How is it a good thing? Tell me, Mike Pompeo, how is it a good thing? It's not. Spoiler alert. He also went on to say, it is in the places where faith is suppressed or targeted for total erasure we see brutality and evil, and where humanity is most oppressed. And, you know the least violent countries in the world?
I do.
They're widely non-religious. The top one is like 60-something% Church of Iceland, which is Iceland. Yeah, there we go. They're like 60-something% Church of Iceland, but still, because they have a, state-sanctioned church and shit. All in all, having yet another Christian nationalist in Trump's cabinet, while not surprising, is extremely dangerous. This is the kind of person that will, and probably does, openly support discrimination against LGBTQ+ people, religious minorities, and BIPOC, which I'm still trying to figure out. Do you need to spell it out? Do you need Black and Indigenous people of color? Black, Indigenous, and people of color. There we go. Apologies. People like Pompeo are charlatans, of course, who hide behind this veil of Christianity to try to conceal the fact that they're really just hateful, awful people.
Mm-hmm. So, I have a question.
Yes.
The United States is, according to Pompeo and everybody that would agree with him, a Christian nation, right? Founded upon Christian principles, yeah?
Correct.
And we are like better than China and like godless China and godless everywhere else, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like godless Sweden and all of those places, right? Norway, Sweden, Denmark, those places, Finland, Netherlands.
Yeah, all of which are at least in the top 15 of least violent countries.
Yeah, they're also all of them in the top 10 of best places to live in the world.
Sure.
We're not. But so if we are such an amazing Christian nation, and our foundation is based upon these principles of Christianity, which means, loving your neighbor and all of that stuff, right? Why do we have kids in cages? Why do we have a system that is not broken? We put this on Twitter today. The system is not broken. The system is working as intended.
Yep.
Why do we have a system that works as intended to keep people of color in chains, physically or metaphorically? physically, because the amount of people who are in jail that are people of color disproportionately high.
Very much so.
How is this Christian? If we live in a nation where we have to say that we value these things, that we value the Christian mantra, then why are we giving passes to people who constantly make billions of dollars while demonizing those who live in poverty for no fault of their own? Was it not Jesus himself who said that the meek and the poor are going to be the ones that inherit the earth? Didn't Jesus himself say in the book of Matthew, when the rich man came up to him and asked him, what do I have to do to get to heaven? And Jesus said, all you have to do is obey the 10 commandments. And that guy said, I've done all of that. And he said, forgive all these people. And he said, I've already done all of that. What else do I have to do? And he said, go give up your possessions and follow me. And the man walked away because he was sad, because he couldn't give up his riches. Jesus himself was against rich people and slept next to and in the same buildings and in the same beds as the poor. He washed the feet of those around him. These signs of true and pure humility. You're trying to tell me that our country has those types of things built into it? I'm sorry, but I see pastors making millions of dollars and giving nothing out of their own pockets to those who are dying because they can't pay for their medicine and food at the same time, or either of them, who don't have access, especially in the state of Oregon, even because of an antiquated system that hasn't been updated for a very long time, access to unemployment benefits, which the government had to fight each other to give to people simply because of a virus that is no fault of their own, spread on no fault of their own, but not stopped by the Christian government that is put in place to protect them. I don't think that it's very Christian that whenever Jesus in all of his books, all four of them, Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John, all four of them, when the person pulled out a sword and cut off the ear of whether it be a Roman soldier or just another Jew, when Jesus said, did I come with a sword to start a war? Why are you doing this? When we have spent the vast majority of our time in unnecessary war. I'm sorry. I don't think we're very Christian.
That is incredibly accurate. Incredibly accurate.
I don't think we get to say shit about China.
No, we don't.
We should, though. No, we do. We should say these things about China and vilify China. We absolutely should. And North Korea and everywhere else in the Middle East and elsewhere that does not allow for religious liberty. And we should call out the fact that Christians are the most persecuted religion in the entire world. Yes, we absolutely should, but we should make sure we turn the mirror on ourselves and accept the cruel reality that it is. Sorry again.
No, I love it. I love it. I love your rants.
I've had a
lot
going on.
I love your rants. So much I do. All right. So y'all know, everybody's talking about Ruth Bader Ginsburg right now. And we couldn't get past an episode without talking about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. But the thing is that we're talking about it in the context of what a pastor said about Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Can't wait to hear this.
Yeah. So, this one's actually another prophet. And this one goes by the name of Jeremiah Johnson. And in case you weren't aware personally.
No. Thankfully.
He recently said that Dr. Anthony Fauci was a big rat sent by Satan to thwart Donald Trump, and that COVID is a demonic attack against baby boomers.
I mean, okay. All right. It does disproportionately affect people that are that old, so sure.
So really, he's a class act. So anyway, and if you didn't know about this, I'm really wondering where the hell you've been for the last almost week. Johnson said in the wake of the passing of Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, quote, Ginsburg has now discovered that there is a court higher than the one called Supreme, and she does not sit in the seat of the judge, but as the defendant. She will answer to a holy God who remembers every ounce of bloodshed she is responsible for and every act of abomination she approved of. The justice of God knows no delay, and the law of God knows no limits. So let's forget for a second that Ruth Bader Ginsburg was Jewish.
That's what I would say.
She's Jewish. And to say these things is so completely disrespectful of her memory and of her faith. And let's just forget the fact that Johnson is basically saying that Justice Ginsburg, the wonderful and amazing woman that she was, and may her memory be a blessing, is going to pay for whatever wickedness he thinks she did. This man is taking joy in the fact that we just lost one of the most influential women in the world. He's taking joy in this. He thinks it's some kind of godly, like, sort of like retribution. Something to that effect. Granted, yes, Ruth Bader Ginsburg was not perfect. She was not. She had a lot of flaws, and I'm sure the people who mention them in the live chat and the comments will remind us, and that's fine. That's fine. We're not going to ever say that she was perfect, because she certainly was not. But, I mean, goddamn, dude. Goddamn. There are a lot of people grieving right now, and to pull this shit, quoting Proverbs 11:10, which says, "When the wicked perish, there are shouts of joy." Yeah, he quoted Proverbs. He did. It's really just fucking ridiculous. So in the Friendly Atheist article that I totally stole all of this from, Hemant Mehta says it very succinctly and very, very well. I didn't know the word. Succinctly is not the right word. Nothing makes some Christians happier than imagining their enemies getting tortured in hell. So Ginsburg didn't just fight for women. And she didn't just, she was not just about gender discrimination, and she was not just about, you know, stuff having to do with women and abortion and stuff like that. Ginsburg took on the case of Susan Struck, who was in the Air Force, and she got pregnant. And basically the Air Force told her, you either get an abortion or you are discharged. And she was like, I'm not getting an abortion. So they discharged her. They discharged her from the Air Force. Eventually the Air Force did change that policy. But
yeah,
you know, Ginsburg fought for that. So if you think that she was just some awful, horrible, terrible person, no. She also fought for religious freedom, workers' rights, and yes, for the right for a pregnant person to actually have their child. But some of y'all didn't know that. I taught someone something today. I don't know if I did. I have no idea. What's even better about this, though, is that Johnson didn't actually fucking write this.
Really?
He didn't. He allegedly plagiarized it from another hate pastor, Jordan Hall, who is also a gigantic douchebag. Hall actually called him out on Facebook in the Facebook post, which is real hilarious. Because he's just all like, hey, stole this from me, basically word for word. I genuinely don't know. I didn't read Jordan Hall's. I didn't want to give him clicks and stuff. So I'm pretty sure I did not. I checked last night, but Johnson is yet to respond to the allegations.
Why is that not surprising?
Right? And it's I will never understand. And this is not just Schadenfreude. It's not. Like, taking joy in the misfortune of others, this is not what this is. This is blatantly, not only completely disrespecting her work as an attorney, her work as a Supreme Court justice, it's the complete disrespect of her faith that bugs me. And I realize a lot of people have been saying stuff like rest in peace and she's in a better place and stuff like that, which usually is what a lot of Christians say, is especially the she's in a better place thing. But there's a reason I said may her memory be a blessing, because Jewish concept of the afterlife is not strictly heaven and hell.
Mm-hmm. And we've gone over this.
We have. It's in a playlist. You should go watch it. So to sit there and say she's in a better place, blah 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 blah, it's very disrespectful to her memory and her faith. And this is, I realize that we are both atheists, but just fucking don't be a dick. Yeah. Don't be like Jeremiah Johnson, basically.
Just in general, don't be like that. This is, by the way, the Zoltner person is the person who's sending us the book.
Oh, cool.
Candace Owens. Appreciate that.
Thanks.
Definitely will. We definitely appreciate anybody's ability to be a grifter. Not you, her.
Yeah.
Candace Owens, who is a grifter, and we'll read the book and likely review it on here because that's something we do. Can't wait to talk about how she's
a grifter.
Absolutely, totally a really awesome, definitely a conservative anyways.
Anyway.
And totally, definitely pro-life and has been. Okay.
So.
Yeah.
So what do you know of Jeremiah Johnson?
I don't remember.
You just know the name.
Yeah, I don't know if he and I have ever spoken, but I recognize his name.
Mm-hmm.
What I know is that Ruth Bader Ginsburg changed the course of our country over the course of 87 years in the right direction.
Yeah.
Especially for equal rights for women, pushing forward, of course, the Equal Rights Amendment, which unfortunately did not become part of the Constitution while she was alive. Ruth Bader Ginsburg saved women's lives, not only by arguing and winning the case that women should be able to do whatever they want without their husband's approval, required husband's approval, but also saving the lives of women by, as Maya in the chat so eloquently pointed out, preserving access to places like Planned Parenthood. It's not to say that Ruth Bader Ginsburg wanted people to have an abortion, but rather the understanding that abortions were going to happen, and it would be better for people to have the right to access to services than to have more people die.
Yep.
She also pushed for comprehensive sex education, understanding the necessity of comprehensive sex education in lowering abortions by sometimes half.
Yep.
And her loss is very scary for people, especially women in our country.
Yeah.
But not only that, it's very scary for those of us who are in favor of a balanced Supreme Court and who are in favor of things that help people.
Yeah.
This is a very, very difficult thing to process. Of course, the fact that the Christian Republicans who are in the Senate, who 4 years ago said you can use our words against us, Chuck Grassley and Mr. Beard from Texas, who that's the name of my phone, by the way, and Lindsey Graham and fucking Marco Rubio and all these other people who said no, we don't think that this should happen in the last year, and this was in January of 2016.
February, wasn't it?
I thought it was late January.
Oh,
Either way, it's now Check's clock September.
It's like
and
40 days to the election.
And people that, by the way, the idea of hell being the way that it is right now, the way that evangelicals currently have this idea of hell, is not how it's mentioned. But also the fact that you're telling somebody you are disrespecting her religion and her family and every other person who is a Jew by saying those things. You think that's going to help? Now, you don't care. No, you don't care at all because you live your life in a bubble to where all you do is spew hatred and vitriol. Same as Jesus. Jesus all the time, when he went and preached to the Pharisees and the Sadducees, he absolutely was all hateful. Hated.
Golden rule totally doesn't exist.
But you don't care about that, do you?
No.
You don't actually care about Jesus. You don't care about what Jesus said. You don't care about the life that Jesus commanded you to live. All you care about is getting your fucking theocracy so that then you can turn around and legally try to murder people like us, legally try to re-enslave people because it's biblical. That's what you're in favor of.
Yeah.
We're aware of what the president's responsibilities are. We're also aware of morality, and we're aware of telling the truth. We're aware of being honest. We're aware of acting your principles. If you're Donald Trump and you're in 2016, you don't think we should move forward. Now, we already know that Donald Trump has lied like 20,000 times in his presidency by itself. So his words don't actually matter at all. He also thinks jets are invisible, so he's also not okay mentally. But we're also talking about, yeah, he said it again recently. We're also talking about elected officials elected officials who are evangelicals, who are elected by evangelicals, who don't care about lying and who don't care about helping other people. This hurts the people that voted for them, but they don't care.
No. They just care about sticking it to the libs.
Yeah.
Not realizing that, hey, your representatives that you voted for, all those Republicans, they don't care about you.
No, they don't.
They give less than a shit.
Notice how much they cared about Herman Cain when he died of COVID because of them. Notice how much they cared about Charlie Kirk's people. OAN, is that what it is? Charlie Kirk? Turning Point USA. It's difficult to keep up with all of these grifting news sites, right? Because there's so many of them. The Gateway Pundit, right? The Gateway Pundit, the purveyor of real news. Who knows? It's not. It's a lie. Anyways, Charlie Kirk, the guy, the 87-year-old guy that helped him fund when he was 18 years old, Turning Point USA, started that. He died of COVID.
He did.
They don't care.
What was that guy's name?
I forget.
Something.
I don't know. I forget. But they don't care.
No.
It is die to own the libs, is what it is.
No. More rights.
And notice, again, besides, it says here that she's a grifter, that besides Candace Owens and some sort of material, two ladies, they're made of some sort of gemstones. Apparently, I don't know. Well, I guess that's not a stone, is it? It's more like what Michael Bay wears for his underpants.
What's with Michael Bay? You and Transformers and...
I'm just saying, he wears silk for his underwear. You know that's true.
Probably.
He whenever like Pearl Harbor blew up, okay, choice of words there. Whenever Pearl Harbor became like a sensation, how about Armageddon? Let's go back to Armageddon. He
that
came
had
in
to do with blowing up too.
Jesus Christ. And he came in and he was like wearing like regular boxers, right? And then he was like, I got the Armageddon money now, silk. And then he went back to like kind of like nylon or something or polyester because of Pearl Harbor. And then he was like, yo, Transformers made a bunch of money and I don't care about all y'all, silk again. And then like double silk, Egyptian silk. Is that a real thing? Who knows? Michael Bay.
Probably not.
He doesn't care about your feelings.
Anyway.
Yeah, but these are individuals who will do and say anything. Will do and say anything, no matter how much it hurts other people. because they care about themselves.
Yeah.
They care about their view count.
Mm-hmm. They care about the clicks.
And yeah, they are actually hateful.
Yeah.
They are racist. They are sexist. And it's unfortunate that they represent your religion, moderate Christians.
Yeah.
Or moderate Muslims.
Yeah.
They represent your religion too. Yeah. LDS, I think all y'all probably same. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
Stop knocking on our doors. Also, if you want, come knock on ours. Go ahead, babe. They haven't.
They're sending Facebook messages now. In the light of the pandemic, the Mormons are sending Facebook messages.
See, there's no reason to shut down Facebook.
Exactly.
You can avoid the Mormons.
Exactly. So, moving on. Mormons. So, when I first laid eyes on this article from Right Wing Watch, I had to Google what the hell Seven Mountains Dominionism is.
Oh.
Dominionism. Yeah, Seven Mountains Dominionism specifically. So the first Google result is from the Texas Observer with an article titled The Radical Theology That Could Make Religious Freedom a Thing of the Past, and a byline of even devout Christians should fear these influential leaders' refusal to separate church and state. Which, yikes. Yeah. So dominionism basically seeks to replace our secular laws, founded on the separation of church and state, with Old Testament Sharia law. Fun fact, the first time I said that word out loud, I pronounced it Sharia, like Shania. Sharia Twain. And yes, Sharia law is applicable in this case. Totally is. Seven Mountains Dominionism, according to the Texas Observer, holds that Christians must take control of seven mountains or areas of life: family, religion, education, media, entertainment, business, and government. Big yikes. Big yikes. So anyway, we have another pastor, of course, Johnny Enlow, who's a big fan of this whole Seven Mountains Dominionism thing. He appeared on the YouTube show Up Front in the Prophetic last week. What's with all you fucking prophets, man? Stop. You're not. You're just not. And he linked the whole concept of Seven Mountains Dominionism to... What do you think he linked it to?
I've already read this. I'm not.
QAnon! QAnon conspiracy!
Yeah, Zolfner, that's your people, Zolfie.
Of course.
That's your people's.
Yeah. So, this particular conspiracy in question is the one where Marmalade Mayhem is battling a secret cabal of child sex traffickers who also happen to be satanic pedophiles, which is, the one we talked about earlier that Mark Taylor subscribes to.
Yeah.
I like Marmalade Mayhem.
Yeah.
I like that one. I thought it was funny. I couldn't use Tangerine Tyrant twice.
You could have.
No!
All right.
I had to use Marmalade Mayhem.
You could use Orange Oaf.
Ooh, that's a good one. I might use that next week.
Honestly, anything that's like alliteration works just fine.
Yeah, it works. Enlow went on to talk about how God told him that history would soon be divided up in a brand new way. And no, we're not talking CE and BCE, you fucking
or
heretics.
BBC, you porn lovers. Good for you.
Y'all should be using CE and BCE anyway. So I'm just saying. So we're talking BT and AT. And yes, that does stand for before Trump and after Trump. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Quote, that means something huge is taking place that's even bigger than what we can imagine. I gave a word. I was like, you haven't seen nothing yet. It is way deeper. The swamp runs way deeper. But I did it by the Spirit. I did not even have details for it, just the Lord telling me, you haven't seen anything yet. It goes way deeper. Such eloquence from Yahweh Elohim. It's so beautifully stated.
Honestly is... I've read his books. I've read his multiple books.
I'm not impressed.
I gotta say, this one doesn't this one is not up on like the scale that I'm accustomed to.
No.
Yahweh, get it together. over the course of the past 2,000 years, you've kind of gone down.
Yeah.
You're like
George R. Martin thing. You're
right?
doing,
Oh, I was going even worse than that.
Uh-oh.
I was going with an actual bad person now.
Oh.
I was going, more like the Harry Potter person.
Ooh.
You doing that?
You're a turf.
Well, yeah, not a feminist at all. Anyways.
Yeah, no.
Yahweh's never been a feminist. Yeah.
You're a fart.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm talking about the Harry Potter lady. Anyway,
either way.
Yeah. So, Enloe claims that he wasn't already suckered into all of the QAnon stuff before he received this revelation from God. Of course not, because why would he be that? Just be silly. But according to him, when some people told him that he should look into these conspiracy theories, he was totally convinced. What we didn't expect was to have almost wholesale Luciferian child-sacrificing pedophiles in a worldwide network at the tops of the mountains where we were literally being run by criminals. And not just simple criminals, high satanic criminals. I got nothing. I literally... that's all I wrote. Was the summary of the article. I have no way of trying to word exactly what it is I think about this. I can't word. I just can't.
It's the most dangerous conspiracy theory maybe in the history of our country.
That's true.
QAnon. And now it's partnered with another cult.
Yeah.
So it's like Jim Jones on like steroid Kool-Aid. You know, and that I don't know, it causes some sort of mental decline.
Yeah.
I don't know. The QAnon is.
I don't get it.
Even exists up here in, how is it put? Oh, BLM terrorized, BLM controlled Portland. Yeah, we have QAnon up here too. I saw one of them today. And also one of them came in and I saw it on their phones. They exist even here. So you're right. The QAnon shit. This is another thing that I was mentioning. So QAnon again is filled over 90% with evangelical Christians, white ones, by the way. We're terrorist Marxists, Bread Santa. We're Marxist terrorists. In case you didn't know that, it's if only we could take over all of Portland. Wait, nice. Hold on, wait a second. We already did. Come on, it's Portland.
We're still protesting.
It's basically BLM here, and also ERA and everything else here, with the mix in of a few racists and Nazis here and there.
Yeah, once you get a little more.
Yeah, you go a little east, you get some more Nazis. Go a little into Vancouver, you found, again, my favorite name for a group ever, Proud Boys.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Let's repeat again one more time. How can you hate pride parades when your name is literally Proud? Anyways, look, it's the BLM Antifa. Just so you know, we've done our best to completely just terrorize, make so much looting and violence over Portland that it's a hellscape. Really it's the worst city. There's craters, and we're doing triage on people, and we're carrying them out like on the backs of other BLM people who have bombed the police. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. There's guns, which there are, by the way, carried by the police and by the Nazis who came from Idaho and aren't even from here. And actually are first generation immigrants from the Ukraine. Stop fucking with us, Ukraine. Yeah. Don't you guys hate immigrants? Oh, only the ones that are, how do we put this? Not white. But anyways, exactly. Not just that, it's a black LGBTQ, right? And actually there was a person who recently, a black trans woman who was murdered. And I think it was here in Portland. So It happens here too, folks.
It does. Yeah.
But these individuals, they are sought out by these people. These grifters seek out these people who feel as though their country is leaving them behind, who are scared. Most of them are older, evangelical Christians.
Yeah.
They seek them out. They're dangerous.
They are.
It's difficult to reason with QAnon.
Yeah.
I say difficult. It's nigh impossible.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Exactly what I was going to say.
But if you know people that are conservative and that they're alone, please reach out to them. Reach out to them and tell them that you care about them. And let them know that this stuff that they hopefully don't know about yet is not true. Let them know. Even if they're evangelical Christians, even if you don't like them, because you don't want the next step. You don't want it in your lives.
Yep.
Because much like the coronavirus, I believe that Joe Biden will be elected the next president in November. And I hope the other stuff doesn't happen. But coronavirus isn't going away. Right? So don't let anybody try to say, how come Biden didn't take care of it? Fuck off, Republicans. You had your fucking chance. QAnon's not going away.
No.
These people will continue to try to grift on this. Okay? They will continue to go after scared and alone and sometimes angry evangelical conservatives.
Yep.
They will do that. Reach out to those people who you may not be fans of. If they're alone, tell them you care. Tell them, I'm sorry you think that I'm a socialist. I am. But I love you and I want you to be safe. And this thing isn't safe. So, yeah. Do that, please, because QAnon may be the most dangerous conspiracy in the history of our country.
Yeah.
And that's coming from somebody who has been in the rabbit hole of 9/11, people. It's the same fucking people!
Yeah, that's accurate. Okay, so
Sorry.
This is going to be the last one just because we're just over an hour right now. And I want to make sure we're sort of keeping with a time limit. Yeah. Anyway, so this one comes from the Huffington Post, and this one's a bummer. This one's a genuine bummer to me. So a ninth grader at Valor Collegiate Academies in Tennessee named Naja Akil was recently scheduled to play an away game with her school's freshman volleyball team. It's worth mentioning at this point that Akil is a Muslim who wears a hijab. Well, right before the game started, the referee told Akil and her assistant coach that her hijab violated the rules of the National Federation of State High School Associations, which is the national organization that writes the rules of play for most high school sports, and that Akil would require special permission to play that must have been granted beforehand. Now, here's the thing. Neither Akil nor her coaches knew anything about this rule. She had played in her hijab before with absolutely zero pushback. Absolutely none. Fucking random enforcement of a rule that nobody had thought to tell her about before completely devastated her. So she had to sit out the game. Eventually they were able to give her the waiver, but it's the fact that it is a completely arbitrary rule. And it was completely randomly enforced. So this isn't the first time that something like this has happened, because in 2018, Noor Alexandria Abukaram set a personal best for her 5K and was promptly DQ'd from the race due to her wearing of the hijab and violating the uniform policy. Much like Akil, Abukaram was told that she had to have received a waiver beforehand and that her results would not count. It is really typical for Muslim athletes to face this kind of discrimination. And it really forces them to choose between their faith and their passion for sports. And here's the thing, another thing of all the things. Adidas, Under Armour, Nike, they all make sports hijabs.
Yes, they do. They wear them in the Olympics.
Yes.
They do wear them in the Olympics.
There was a fencer, wasn't there?
And a swimmer.
Yeah.
I don't know how. All right. I'm not like a
That's
hijab.
skill.
Like, yeah, you wear a hijab, you swim.
That's awesome.
Girl, you do your thing.
Yeah, that's rad.
Yeah.
But this is such a typical thing, and it's, I mean, didn't Ilhan Omar have to deal with this too?
Ilhan Omar has to deal
in the
with,
representative in the House.
She has to deal with xenophobia and racism even today.
Every fucking day.
Yeah.
But she had to deal with that because they had a no head coverings rule
Yeah.
in the House.
Yeah, it turns out you can't not allow it.
Yeah, because
if you allow a nun, you have to allow a Muslim or a Sheik.
Mm-hmm.
It's the way it goes. Sikh, Sheik, honestly, whichever one works. If either of those work, please let me know. I've done both. But like freedom of religion and all that. You know what I mean? Like, go to any Democratic controlled city run by minorities. Run by minorities. Highest crime rates, fact. Man, if only I could cherry pick stats like this.
Needed.
Well, it's where people live. Of course, you have the most crime where people live. And not only that, but the vast majority of minorities, that's always a fun thing to say, live in cities, or at least in suburbia. They live in suburban areas of cities. They don't live in the country.
No.
They don't live in rural areas.
No.
But it's easy to cherry pick things like that. What we should actually do is look into the actual history of the reason that people live where they do, and the education, and also the police and things like this. It's almost like we could make a video about it, or we already have.
Or a whole video series on it.
Yeah. We should actually go into that and even explain how people said that it was like God's will these things were happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, you may be less of a conservative when you figure out how much conservativeness is wrapped around evangelical Christianity, but I doubt it. When you're so disillusioned to say that it's not safe for you to walk down the streets because of BLM, I don't know what to tell you anymore. Just go read a QAnon page, because that's where you are. But
anyway.
No, but yeah, the Ilhan Omar absolutely has to.
Yeah.
She has to deal with it every single day, and simply because she said that y'all motherfuckers keep like bowing down and sucking Israel's cock, it's like you have two different allegiances, which we see you do it. You have an American flag next to a Confederate flag next to a motherfucking Israeli flag. You got tri-allegiances. You got trilegions. Allegiant trilogies. I don't know. Make up a word. Who cares? You got 3 of them. It's not anti-Semitic to say true things like that.
Accurate.
And but y'all motherfucker be like, look, she's anti-Semitic because she's like from Somalia. You wish you could talk like that, honestly. But straight up and down to say those things and to say you can't wear a hijab. Why? Why not? Because it's a head covering? Oh, I'm sorry. Sincerely held religious belief says fuck you. You're gonna whether it's Ilhan Omar or this young lady, what's her name again?
Naja
Akil, whoever it is, wear a hijab or a religious head covering. I don't know what they would have done if it was like a nun. Now, obviously, nunneries and things like that. It's usually like Whoopi Goldberg type age thing, and like Sister Act. I don't really know how it goes, but the younger blonde one was like super hot.
I've never seen it.
Never seen Sister Act, but the second one.
No.
Second one's cool.
I've never seen any.
I like the second one better than the first one, but that's just because they got like kids involved and they were kids at like Catholic school and stuff. And I was like, boy, this is what Catholic school is like. Anyways, it was a choir. And by the way, we also look forward to having you on the show to talk about your assault from the BLM protesters. That is something that we spoke about and are completely completely in favor of, and actually look forward to hearing. You let one religion, you have let them all in. My issue is when they infringe on the rights of others, like BLM. BLM's not a religion, bro. Stop trying to do a little red herring conflation here and there. God damn, stick to one thing. It's
that
not
makes
difficult.
absolutely zero sense. And also, it's either all religions or none of them.
Yeah.
We would rather have none of them, but if you're going to allow Christianity in the public square, in the sense of, you know, state-sanctioned shit and state-sponsored shit, then you have to allow other religions. Again, we'd rather have none.
True.
We'd rather that religion was not a factor in politics.
Or a thing.
That's true also. We would much prefer that we didn't have to worry about evangelical Christians forcing their ideas of morals. And if you really look into that, Christians have totally and completely co-opted the term morality. Because it's only associated with religion. Blah, 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 whatever. Didn't you already have... Oh, no.
No, I was drinking the caffeine. I do, by the way, that person and I do agree on one thing. How haven't you seen Sister Act? Anyways. People infringed on the rights of others was going on today because of BLM. Oh, so you did it on purpose. You weren't actually apologizing. You were being sarcastic. Yeah, people that are protesting police brutality are infringing on your rights. I have yet to see how. But again, this is not far from the playbook of evangelical Christians who, since the 1970s, part of the quiverful type of movement, have put in place a literal playbook. It's a real thing.
It is.
That how to take control of government.
Phyllis fucking Schlafly.
And how to do it from the ground up. Yeah. And they do that. It's why they try to outbreed people, which is why they love the fact that most people today, especially like millennials and down, choose either to not have children at all or to wait to have children. We're not having kids, right? It chooses to wait. And so they are outbreeding, and that's what they want to do. So they can then stack the courts. This seems relevant. So they can stack the courts with their religious fervor. So they can get somebody like the person that the president is likely going to nominate, who said that religion is more important than the Constitution, when the Constitution really specifically says freedom of religion, freedom from it. But that's who they're going to stack. Zolfner, that's your people who are stacking the court with things that will make it more difficult for you to be an atheist.
Yep.
Which it says on your Twitter profile, you are. It's going to make it more difficult for you as a bisexual person. And again, I'm not doxing anything. This is on your Twitter profile. I believe you also said it in the chat. I think he also said it in the chat.
Yeah.
That's going to make it more difficult for you to have rights.
Yes.
Those are the people that you are in league and in bed with. Sometimes metaphorically and probably sometimes physically. And by the way, sleep with whoever you want. But don't expect the same people to turn around and say that it's okay for you to be who you are. Because they don't.
Yeah.
They didn't come for me type thing is a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because no, they're not coming for me. Right? I am a college-educated white American male from the Midwest. There might not be, outside of the fact that I'm not a Christian, there might not be a safer demographic to be a part of in this country. Just because I have the sex male and the fact that I've got
your melanin challenge.
Really none. Transparent. When I take my hat off, the sun shines off my head. I basically become the moon.
It's shiny.
Right?
I like it.
No, there's nothing in our chat that's necessary. Like I said, I'm not going to dox you. But it will come because we don't expect you to be ashamed of who you are. What we expect is for you to understand the reality that exists, that these people don't care about you. And in fact, because of your skin color, because of your sexual orientation, they hate you.
Because you are an other.
You're a them.
You're a threat to what they consider well-being.
These individuals and these groups look at the reason that they want to put somebody on, because first off, they're terrified that Donald Trump's not going to win the election.
Yeah.
For good reason, by the way. And they're terrified they're going to lose the Senate. For good reason, by the way.
Yeah.
And they're terrified of a Democrat supermajority in the House. For good reason, by the way. But the only reason, besides the fact that they think that Donald Trump's going to lose and therefore not be able to have a conservative Christian on the ballot, not the ballot, but on the Supreme Court, is because if you read what they say, this was an executive order from the president yesterday. Executive order to combat race and sex stereotyping. Basically, to force the removal of things that talk about anti-racism and talk about white racism. Force the removal from any type of training that can be approved inside of federal agencies. Just training, showing racism. But even more than that, they want the person to go on to the Supreme Court because they want to overturn Roe v. Wade.
Mm-hmm.
That is it. If they overturn Roe v. Wade, what makes you think they're not going to try to overturn the Affordable Care Act?
Yeah.
What makes you think they're not going to try to overturn the 2015 marriage equality? What makes you think they're not going to go ahead and go back to say, let's make it illegal to have sex out of marriage or sodomy at all? Sodomy, by the way, is not just a gay thing.
No.
Plenty of heterosexual couples do that as well. If you think that this is where evangelical Christians are ending, this is like their end thing, that they're going to come here and going to just stop. God, I don't know what to tell you, but you're wrong. That is the thing. And it's terrifying for me because I care about people. And I care about every single person. That includes Donald Trump, by the way. I don't want Donald Trump to get COVID. I don't, because I don't think that anybody should get it. I realize that some of you are going to disagree with me on that. But how can I say that I'm a humanist if that's the case?
Right. And don't body shame. Please don't do that.
You can say he's orange, though, because it's not natural.
Yeah, that's not an immutable characteristic.
They hate equality and equity because they want America, and you can read this in the things that they say. They want America to go back to the 1950s and before. They want to have their autocratic theocracy. And everything that they say and do says that. It's what they want. You had the Secretary of State going to Texas and saying it. You have the President of the United States saying it almost every single night. He tear gassed and brutalized peaceful protesters just so he could walk across the street to a church which did not want him there, kicking out the priests and the pastors who were there so he could have a photo in front of a church. Pandering to a crowd who simply wants him to be in power so they can maintain and continue power, so they can try to stretch the limits. That's it. And you have a vice president who's put in place very specifically by the quiverful, hoping that Donald Trump doesn't make it through either this term or the next one. Because you want to think that Donald Trump is dangerous? Mike fucking Pence is the devil.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is a pawn.
Yeah.
An idiotic piece of garbage. Terrifying nonetheless. But Mike Pence, he's their Jesus. And they want him bad.
It's very fucking accurate. Also, fuck that guy. Not you, Brainbug.
I have today ranted more than I have recently, and I should probably apologize to people for that. The title of this one should be Nathaniel Rants in between Susan talking about things.
It's all right. I think people expect it and love it. Anyway.
We protest for a reason.
Yep.
Some people get violent. But you can't tell me it's not for no fucking reason.
Yeah.
It's not you.
No.
Do you think the things that I'm saying today are about you?
This is
No, I'm warning you.
Cards.
I'm warning you. Because I just think you're a troll. But can we really blame people for getting violent? When the police who murdered Breonna Taylor aren't even charged with anything?
Nope.
When the police who shot 7 times into the back of Jacob Blake aren't charged?
Nope.
when the guy who shot Philando Castile went to a killology training class, which the police go to for free. Violence.
It's accurate.
What do you expect? What do you expect when we stand there and we march peacefully, which we've done, and they still throw tear gas, and they still shoot cannons, and they still beat people with batons as they stand there? The fuck you want?
Yeah.
You don't expect us to fight back? You don't expect black people in this country who didn't choose to come here to fight back? The fuck do you want? Aren't you multiracial? What the fuck do you want? It sparks demonstrations across the United States. Mind you, watch the headlines that the media is going to say. The things that people think about Portland, where, by the way, how many times today did you hear about the fucking unrest in downtown? You work over that way. How many times you hear it at work today?
None.
0 recently.
At work?
Yeah.
None.
At work. And these are people that you're around, right? I don't hear about it either. And I work with the public. Ever hear about it? Do you know why? Do you know why? Because it's not true. But you watch the newspapers. They're going to focus very specifically on the 1% of people that somehow are violent, throwing a bottle, something at the police. Something.
Or having, like the Portland police completely lie about things actually being thrown at them like they did a few months ago.
Or the Seattle police creating their own Molotovs, which we definitely knew were fake.
No, yeah, did Seattle police do that too? Because Portland police definitely did that.
Wow, it's like they don't learn from each other.
And they had like freshly painted shit.
Yeah.
That was Portland police.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But watch them focus on this 1% thing, because we actually know how many people are in downtown Portland when we go there, because we go there.
Yeah. Not
as regularly as we should, but we go there. We have photos
Mhm.
of our beautiful city in its beauty. We've put them on Twitter. Feel free to look them up.
Mhm.
Regularly, we put them on Twitter, actually, because people are always like, Portland. It's a fucking anarchy. It's an anarchist jurisdiction, right? Forgetting the fact that Republicans live here too.
Yeah.
Are they anarchists as well? Attorney General Barr, also evangelical Christian. Why are you lying, Attorney General Barr, when you know the fact, when you have a history of actually being a good judge? Which you do, by the way. No, Maya, that was actually something back in June. And this is the beginning of one of our videos. That's the beginning of our video for this series we're doing. It actually talks about me having that turmoil because Susan is type 1.
Diabetic.
Yeah. And having that turmoil. Knowing that if I don't stand today, when will I? That I had to, and I was terrified because I don't want to get my partner sick. But I couldn't not. And I talked to her about that. And she went with me.
I did.
Turns out, yeah, we took the dogs too. Turns out, by the way, Portland is gorgeous and awesome. But they're going to talk about the 1% of people that are somehow violent. They're going to talk about some of the people. Again, like the 1% of people who go and loot. That's what they talk about.
What was her name? Kimberly Jones?
I think that's right.
Yeah. If you haven't already, go watch her video on her response to when she's asked, basically, what do you think about the looting and stuff like that. She has the analogy of, what would you do if you and I were playing Monopoly and you weren't allowed to take a turn for God knows how fucking long. I don't know. I just think she said like 50 turns or something. And then all of a sudden you start with, you're allowed turns, but you're started with nothing. And then you're given scraps basically, and you're told to be grateful for it. How would you feel about that? Would you feel like it was fair? Because I have a feeling you don't. Just a distinct feeling.
You can't even get off the starting line for 200 years.
No.
Which means that people who came here, again, not of their own free will, died never having left the starting block.
Mm-hmm. We're getting into stuff that we need to talk about in the video.
But this is all, by the way, based, and they said it's Christian.
Yeah.
And they will try to move away from the actual necessity of change. Necessity.
Yep.
Of change.
Mm-hmm.
Do not let them do it. Because I keep asking, and every single day I'm told another name.
Mm-hmm.
Who will be the next one to die? He was shot on his bicycle the other day. 15 times by the Los Angeles police. 15 times. As he was laying on the ground in agony, shot again. 15 times.
It's gotta stop. We gotta get there. We have to get to a point where the perpetrators are held accountable, because they're not being held accountable right now. We all know this. We all know that the people who are doing this, that are perpetrating these violent crimes against Black people, and Yes, it's just like the MRA stuff. There are times when it happens to white people. But somehow, strategically, all lives matter. People don't make a fuss when it happens to white people. Somehow. It's almost as if they don't realistically give a shit. Almost. Anyway, we have gone way over what I thought we were going to go.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. You needed it. I love it. And I love you. So, I hate to be super abrupt with the cutting in. I'm really sorry. I know you were on a roll. I'm sorry.
No.
So, we... in case you haven't watched it yet, we do have a show that is Saturdays at 3 Eastern, 12 Pacific, called Explain Like I'm 5. This past week, I had Hema Mehta on, who was fantastic. We just sort of rolled with it, talked about politics and stuff like that. It was a really great conversation. So if you haven't watched that already, I highly suggest checking that one out. This week, this Saturday, on the 26th, I have Thomas Smith, podcaster extraordinaire, host of Opening Argument, Serious Inquiries Only, Philosophers in Space, and Comedy Shoeshine. Wow, I'm surprised I remembered all of those.
Yeah,
so that's gonna be a lot of fun. We've also got people like Heath Enright coming up, which I'm very, very excited for. I don't quite know what Thomas is going to talk about yet. And I'm not going to well, if you've seen the YouTube event for Heath, you already know what he's going to talk about, but you'll have to go and find that for yourself. With any luck, we will start back up with the weekly live streams. It should be about 6 o'clock, depending on if it's raining, and this is Portland, so it's always raining. With any luck, we'll be starting that. We'll aim for an hour and a half. We'll aim for that. Yeah, because that seems to be the sweet spot. So you can follow us on Twitter. We're at Divine Disbelief. You can like us on Facebook. It's facebook.com/Divine Disbelief. You can find us on Patreon. Hold on a second. I will go and find who our patrons are.
Yeah, whoops. We try to put that in the description too.
I need to. Here we go. So a big thanks to our patrons. I'm so sorry. I should know this already. Big thanks to our patrons: Irish Swede, Mikey Famine, Grumpy Old Cuss. What is
Cletus?
there? We have Tapioca Weasel. And we have Cletus the Slack. Oh, I just spat everywhere. Cletus the Slack-jawed yokel wants you to please support atheists of Utah and Pennsylvania non-believers.
Thanks, Cletus.
So, yes. Thank y'all so much. We do really, really appreciate y'all so very much. I am looking at starting a Discord soon. I think I'm going to start one.
Yeah, we have, let's see, where are we at right now? We are... And 50 to 20.
I don't know how much we're getting a month.
There we go. We're getting.
We're almost there.
Yeah, we're getting up there. So.
Almost there. But I'm probably just gonna go ahead and start it anyway. So, yeah. So please go and support us on Patreon. We really, really appreciate that. That goes towards supporting the show. It doesn't pay for the Funko Pop habit. We pay for that out of our own money. To supports the show, makes it so that we can potentially pay for, StreamYard Pro for the fancy stuff and, all the hosting and stuff like that. You can support us on Podfan. All of the links are in the description below. So you can follow me on Twitter, Motel Cowboy. You can follow the Corgis on Twitter. They're just Corgis15.
You should.
Yeah, you totally should.
Yeah, they're apolitical, but you can pee next to them.
Yeah. I love it. So thank y'all so much for joining us. We do really, really appreciate y'all. We understand that there is sort of a discussion going on in the live chat right now. We're very, very sorry to sort of cut that short. I think you can still sort of talk after we finish this. So thank y'all so much. We do really, really appreciate it. I'll check out Explain Like I'm 5, 3 Eastern, 12 Pacific on Saturday with Thomas Smith this week. I've already said that, but I don't care.
Yep.
Alrighty. Well, thank y'all so much. We really, really love y'all, and we will see y'all next time. Bye, guys.
It's the same.